Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Puppet Masters and Castle Freaks, the internet's leading all things Charles Band podcast. I am one of your hosts, Delgato, the man of your dream. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Jared Hornbeck, and I'm coming to you, of course, from Brooklyn, New York. And for the love of God, Lenora, stop the car! But I'm not the only one who is sitting creepily in this... I don't even know what you would call this, a bungalow pouring blood into a glowing green beaker. I don't know. Things are happening. Who else is here with me?
Excuse me, it's an Airbnb, and I paid extra for the green shit. I'm Steve Guntley, and try being a waitress. That'll teach you a thing or two about good and evil. This is the podcast about bleeding palms, neon slime, and sheep guts. That's because this is the podcast about The Alchemist, an early directorial effort from Charlie Band that attempts to turn a leaden plot into gold. Do you see what I'm doing with that? Yeah, you get it. Yeah, a little preview of what we think of this movie. Also, but we're very excited because we are being joined by a third-time guest, which we decided we needed a title for that. So we decided just before recording started that a third-timer gets to be called a freaky. So you're not our first freaky, but you are the first one to bear the title of a freaky. So who is the freaky that is here with us today?
My name.
Well,
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking.
It sounded that way, and this happens from time to time because I make the mistake of pausing instead of coming, right in and getting almost on top of Steve in that introduction there.
Yeah,
no, this is Scott Weinberg.
People get angry. They think that podcasts have a lot of interruptions, and I'm like, it's the technology. If we were having this conversation in person, there wouldn't be quite as many interruptions. But you're not always sure if someone's done or not.
Right? Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you back. We're excited to have you talking about. I'm gonna go out and say the single most boring movie we've talked about on this show. Is that too far of a bridge? I mean,
Nope.
Like Savage Island was kind of up there, but at least that one had the occasional like flash of TNA and some, Linda Blair getting some revenge. This one, man, where do we even start with The Alchemist?
I mean, that's the beauty of most Charles Band productions is that even if they're not great, there's 3 or 4 moments that stand out, or a performance, or something. And it's probably because it was one of his earlier films where he didn't quite have the template down yet. But aside from a few moments of brief, unintentional levity. And by the way, my name is Scott Weinberg. I'm the podcast host of a show called Overhated. And I often try to find the best things in a bad movie or a questionable movie. And I did manage to find a few good things, but for the most part, I see why it took you gents so long to get to this one.
This is definitely, yes, and welcome back, Scott Weinberg. Sorry, we missed your name in there to reveal.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
To peek behind the curtain, poor Jared is suffering a nasty migraine, and I myself woke up at 1 a.m. this morning and have been awake the entire time. And this is the first of my 2 podcasts today. So this is going to be a slap-happy episode. And luckily for us, we are talking about The Alchemist, a movie that basically has no substance to climb onto. So we can kind of make this episode about whatever we want it to be about.
Anecdotally, I said, I don't know, month and a half ago, whenever it was, we recorded our episode for the noir version of Skullheads. And for that movie, we had to postpone that recording because I was pretty sick. I think I had the flu while when we were originally supposed to record that. And I watched the movie Skullheads for the first time while under the influence of a bunch of cold medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of informed that first viewing where I was just like, man, stuff's happening and I don't really get it. Like, I'm missing something. I'm kind of fading in and out of consciousness while the movie is going on. That happened this time, but without any substances.
You could nod off. You could nod off halfway through this movie and miss 20 minutes, and it wouldn't have much bearing on the plot. I mean, it's weird that a movie so straightforward and simple is so convoluted and hard to follow.
Man, I was grateful and a little shocked that the Wikipedia had such a long and detailed plot synopsis of this movie.
I looked at it and I'm like, this looks like more explanation than this film needs. But like, God bless him.
this person really logged in and did the work and wrote a synopsis for it.
I'm
which
not
I'm grateful for.
unconvinced. I'm
Yeah.
not unconvinced that Alan J. Adler, the writer of this movie, didn't write his own Wikipedia article.
Hey, you know what? Good on him. Like I appreciate that he went in there and did that, because truly I had a hard time following it. And I'm not going to
It's got
pin
like
this one
4
on Charlie.
characters, right? Or 5,
Yeah,
and
like,
that's it.
Literally, like I'm going to be reading the cast list in a second, and it is the entire cast list. It's one of those movies where we're getting everybody down to the extras. So, but you know, we can hang this on Charlie Band being young and inexperienced as a director, but truly, this was not a movie he wanted to make. I don't think this is a movie anybody was particularly excited about working on. And I think it's kind of been relegated to the dustbin sort of by everybody involved.
Yeah.
Not that many of the people involved in this are still alive, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Most of them have died.
This movie, basically what happened was this was an Ideal Films project, which is run by a guy named Billy Fine, who is sort of like, when I picture, like, from what I've read in descriptions of Billy Fine, is I think of like those old school directors with like the whips and glasses and like I don't know even know what you call those pants, like it's a real like and a hat. Like I have a very specific picture.
It sounds like you're describing a lion tamer.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, yeah, kind of like
chair.
that. But like I know that I don't, maybe not John Huston, but I feel like that
I got what you're saying. Like kind of a dominant whip cracker of a director. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently this guy was like that, and he was doing this and hired Charles Band as a director for hire, which was not something that really happened at that point. I mean, Band had directed a couple of his own productions at this point, like Laser Blast and stuff like that, and then produced movies that he kind of outsourced to pretty talented directors like David Schmoller for something like Tourist Trap, which is, you know, probably the best of all these early Charles Band movies. But
prior to this, he did obviously, you know, Parasite and Metal Storm, which both fill the designation that we came up with before, which is neither of those are great movies, but they have fun, memorable moments.
Absolutely.
Well, in fairness, this was made before those movies.
Oh, yes. Interesting.
So this movie has a release date of 1983, but that's not really accurate because it was kind of it was available in a really small video market only at one point, and then it sat dormant for 5 years and got the smallest of theatrical releases in 1986, despite being completed in 1981. Wow. So I feel like, so this movie was technically made before Parasite and Metal Storm. And I think it's a perfect storm of things where you have, maybe Charles
Metal
Band
Storm.
Thank you. I'm glad someone picked that up.
Yep.
I think it's like Charles Band coming onto a project that's not really his, maybe just, you know, taking a paycheck, something like that. And again, someone with a slightly different vision. Like the movies that I know of Billy Fine Productions, a lot of women in prison stuff. Concrete Jungle.
Caged Heat was him, I think.
Chained Heat.
Oh, Chained Heat. Excuse me.
And then also kind of a movie I think I've talked about actually on this show before, he produced for the Ideal Films, which was the Judy Landers Ray Sharkey slasher movie Hellhole.
Wow.
Okay.
I know that one.
I've brought that movie up before, I think, on this show. And so, you know, Billy Fine and Larry Applebaum, who's the other producer on this, I love when I'm reading about it, it's like Band was brought in mid-shoot. You later learn that they had shot 2 days worth of footage.
Right.
For these productions, very much mid-shoot.
They could both be accurate statements.
That is, well, that's what I'm saying. That's very true. And I think Charles Band, he would probably never really come out and say as much, but I think he's kind of a bit embarrassed about this one. And I think in an attempt to try to salvage this into something that he felt was respectable, you know, he outsourced jobs to production designer J. Larry Carroll and Ted Nicolau and, you know, Richard Band to compose a main theme that this movie does not deserve.
Yeah.
and we talked before about how my podcast is called Overhated, and where I try to find the good in any movie, and you just nailed one of the two things in this movie, and you could probably say, and I think you guys both would agree, even in the worst Charles Band movie, if his brother contributed a score, that's a highlight.
Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. And we've had Richard on the show before. Great guy.
He's a
really
fantastic composer.
He really is. He really
Yep.
is. And like I think he's giving. I agree. He's giving this movie a lot more juice than it deserves. But yeah, you touched on a lot of kind of the basics of this. This is so it's got one of those like dancing release dates because completed in 81. Kind of sort of released in 83 on VHS, but like that was before the VHS market had hit the home, like it was still
remember
very
the VHS
early.
cover of the beaker with the green goo in it. Yep. Made it look a lot more interesting than it is.
Definitely. Yeah. And then, finally got a very small theatrical release and then was basically buried. I saw some conflicting research. Some people said that a guy named Craig Mitchell was directing this movie for a few days and then he was fired off of it. Wasn't really clear why. Nobody really went into it. I was not able to confirm if this is the same Craig Mitchell who co-directed Jim the Greatest, which is the Don Coscarelli's debut film.
It is.
Is it the same guy? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I figured it's like he's running in the same circles around the same time. So it's very likely. But either way, Band had to come in and take over the rest of the film from there. He did not have a great time working on it. I don't think anybody really had a good time on this one. And there's really very little fanfare around it. It was just kind of relegated to VHS obscurity. There's only one DVD of this which was ever released, which was released in 2007, and it shares a disc with House by the Cemetery. And this might be the movie I own the most copies of without ever having seen, because House by the Cemetery is one of those like default like pack-ins. Anytime you're like at a Walmart and you're looking through those $5 DVD bins and they've got like a compilation of like 30 great horror hits or something, House by the Cemetery is on every single one.
You need 1/3 of the Gates of Hell trilogy. And you know
Absolutely.
what? If we're speaking honestly, this movie could have used a little bit of Bob.
You could have used some Bob. Yeah,
Now,
bring in some Bob.
The Gates of Hell, for those who are not in America, would be known as, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, I don't remember.
It would be known, Scott, as City of the Living Dead.
City.
I swear to
Correct.
God, Jared has Ramona Flowers' magic purse, like our Mary Poppins bag.
I know it
to the
opened
side
in
of his
America
camera.
as Gates of Hell, but then throughout being, a lifelong horror nerd, you see City of the Living Dead come up a lot more often. So
City of the Living
Dead.
Dead, super fun. The Gates of Hell version is edited, I think, down kind of to hell, so it's not the
but it still
preferred
has that
version.
thing where the woman pukes out the pig
of
guts.
course. I mean,
God,
that's the money shot in that movie.
that
You
is
can't
so. I
take
mean,
that out.
that was all people talked about when it came out in '83. It was like infamous, even among kids in the schoolyard who hadn't seen it. They were like, "Oh, I heard this one had a woman pukes up her own intestines," and they're like, "That can't be real."
Yeah,
No,
Steve, you have a puzzled look on your face right now, which I'm going to read as that you're unfamiliar with City of the Living Dead and the scene that we're talking about, which is shocking to me.
I've not seen it. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's definitely worth watching. The
Putting
movie
it on
has
the
a
list.
couple fantastic kills in it and really memorable scenes. A really great one too with Christopher George with the pickaxe through the coffin.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Scene is great too, but that scene, we'll just call it that. We'll dub it that scene.
might be my favorite Fulci. Might be.
It is a shocking moment that goes on. It's the they live fight of people puking up their intestines.
I like zombies better, but this one's definitely fun. If you like Fulci.
I think I have kind of a big Fulci blind spot because I've seen The Beyond and I've seen Zombie, and I don't know if I've seen any others off the top of my head, but I'll have to look into that because I like both of those movies.
He's fun.
Well,
made some pretty bad ones, but overall definitely fun.
Right. And then there's some that are kind of like, I can appreciate things he's doing, but I can't really get behind a solid recommendation. Like, I would never come out and tell someone to watch The New York Ripper.
No.
I'm pretty sure you have, though, on this show.
Have you ever seen Conquest? His attempt at like a D&D type movie?
Oh, somebody was
they
talking
actually
about
played
this
that.
recently.
I think Nighthawk Cinema here actually showed that movie
I believe
like
it.
not too long ago.
That might have been where I've heard of it because that was coming up on my social media recently for some reason.
All
And
I
I'm
know
like,
is I
okay.
tried it. I'm sorry, I tried it on VHS many moons ago, and suffice to say, the transfer was not great because it looked like, to borrow a phrase from an old Leonard Maltin or Gene Shalit review, it looks like it was shot in a closet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You could apply that to a lot of this movie as well, I think.
Well, that
Yes.
being said, Steve, give us the fractured stats that you have for this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, we covered a lot of the basics of The Alchemist. We know it was directed by Charles Band. We know it had this kind of tortured release schedule. It's written
I
by
have a
Alan
question
J.
for you.
Adler. Oh, yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Go ahead.
I apologize to the listeners as well. Like I said, when there's a pause, I can't tell. But
No, we're
is
slap
this?
happy here.
No, you guys would know a lot better than me. How frequently did Charles Band use that pseudonym?
Oh,
So he has a couple. In this
Yeah.
one, it's James Amonte, which is kind of, I think, the first one that he did for, to sort of Alan Smithy productions like this. And then he has Robert Amonte, which he adopted later on, which he has like executive producer credits on a bunch of like softcore movies.
okay.
Got it. All right, got it. Now I will shut up. Go.
No, you're all good. Yeah, it's written by
Sorry.
Alan J. Adler, who we saw, who would write Metal Storm as well, and a couple of other early movies. And it stars Robert Ginty, Lucinda Doolin, John Sandiford, Viola Kate Stimpson, Robert Glaudini, Tony Abitimarco, and Billy Scudder, and that is the entire cast, including the demons. Now we got to talk a little bit about Robert Ginty, who, again, kind of a gap for me. I was not familiar with this guy or his work, but Robert Ginty was in the midst of his own kind of minor Charles Bronson moment in the early 80s. He was a Yale-trained actor, stage actor, kind of very high-tone sort of guy. Mostly worked in supporting roles and on TV. He was best known as a recurring player in Hal Ashby movies, and he was on the TV adaptation of The Paper Chase, which ran throughout the 70s, was kind of a minor hit. But in 1980, he took on his first starring role in a movie called The Exterminator, which is a bloody revenge thriller that outraged critics and parents groups, but it was a sleeper hit. And it spurred kind of like this disreputable Liam Neeson run for Robert Ginty, where he was a go-to guy for like a lot of violent B-movie like Death Wish knockoffs with names like White Fire, Mission Kill, and Codename Vengeance.
Well, see, I call this the GEU, which is the Glickenhaus Extended Universe.
Oh, sure.
Yes. He also did Exterminator 2. And speaking of, like, I mentioned Schoolyard a minute ago. No bullshit. I'm a Gen Xer, so I swear on a stack of Bibles, there was buzz at recess in 6th or 7th grade, and the discussion was The Exterminator had been on UHF the night before, and there's a scene where he lowers a guy into a giant industrial meat grinder.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and you only see it through shadow, but that was all the kids at school could talk about.
And it's one of those...
Exterminator was a buzz movie at Connolly Elementary School for one day.
Well, it becomes one of those like mythic things, right? Like kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which like basically has no gore in it at all. But because of the way it's described and the horrific, like kind of word of mouth kind of stuff, you envision it a lot more violent than it actually is. I have not seen The Exterminator. I have seen that cover many times, a jacked man with a motorcycle helmet firing a flamethrower at the screen.
Yeah, the old embassy VHS. Yep.
Yeah. And it looks like that's on Prime now. So like it's streaming. You can find it. I might have to go check this out because
if you want to take one legitimate movie that he was in, I'm sure he was in others. He was in a lot of low budget junk, but he was in a movie called Loverboy with Patrick Dempsey. Where he plays
I remember.
Yeah, and that's the movie where when women would call the pizza place and ask for extra anchovies, that means they wanted SEX.
Yeah.
And it's a funny movie, and he plays one of the dads in that movie. And I remember back in the day thinking, oh, this guy is mostly in schlock. It's nice to see him in a movie theater.
Yeah, he pops up in a couple of things, but even like his mainstream projects are things like Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, which is like hardly...
Yeah, he was in with Kirstie Alley and John Larroquette, a movie called Madhouse.
Madhouse,
Madhouse.
And
Terrible
I
movie.
hate to say it, but Robert Ginty died young, and it's a shame. So let's dedicate this episode to a very fine B actor. We miss you, Robert Ginty.
He did. Yeah, he
Well,
died at the age of 60 in
yeah,
2009.
and I have a connection to Robert Ginty actually, which is before I was a teacher. I worked in restaurants and the service industry for many years, and a woman I worked with was between Robert Ginty's maybe second wife and his last wife. I think he was married 3 times.
Okay.
She was his girlfriend. And so it was very weird because I remember talking to her one day at work. We started working together, and we started working together very shortly after he died.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like maybe he was on her mind because she had heard of his passing, learned of his passing or something like that. But I remember like it came up very plainly in conversation. She was from South Africa and she had moved here and been here for probably 20 years and was saying how she had met this guy who was an actor and kind of lived at like the luxurious like girlfriend of an actor lifestyle for a little while.
Yeah.
And you know, she brought up his name, said Robert Ginty, and I'm like, excuse me, the exterminator? Like,
Nice.
you know, and yeah, and so she always had nothing but nice things to say about him. But I know it was, I think in the night, like maybe in the mid to late 90s, because I think he was married again for a few years before he died.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fun trivia point about one of his wives. There in the 80s, he was married to Lorna Patterson, and anybody who loves comedy will know that Lorna Patterson is the stewardess in Airplane. Yes.
Yeah,
and
Randy,
not the
right?
Julie Haggerty one, obviously, but the one who does the has the Donald Duck flotation device. I think it is.
I always felt like she should have had a bigger career.
Yeah, she was very funny in Airplane.
She was super funny. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that's adorable. You know, like definitely pretty and like charming. But she was on some sitcoms. She was that's also what Lorna Patterson was known for. She played Private Benjamin in the sitcom version.
That's
Private
right.
Benjamin.
Yeah. The short-lived spin-off of the Goldie Hawn movie.
Yeah, it only ran one season, but I remember watching it a couple times. Don't remember if it was any good, but yeah, Lorna Patterson he had good taste. So,
and nothing, you know, no disrespect to Robert Ginty. I'm someone who always champions the careers of people who live kind of and work in this lane of like super niche B stuff. I'm always like very interested in hearing the stories from their sets and things like that. That's just me personally in my zone of interest. Yeah. I'm not entirely convinced that Robert Ginty lost a bet to be in this movie.
Very much so. This is a man who
does not want to be there.
In the middle of a nap the entire movie. I feel like they keep waking him up to shoot his scenes and he's kind of grouchy about it.
And you know what, like Scott, you know, like similarly to the whole mission statement behind your show, I found like as our show's been going on, we've been very charitable with movies. We've been very much like, again, we look for the things to compliment about it. I think and not to mention we've made connections with people who've been involved in projects, and we just kind of bring a different eye to this one. I don't really feel bad kind of calling this movie out in the areas where it fails, because I don't think that anybody involved in this movie cared about this movie. I don't think anybody is protective of this movie. Like, I think everyone would kind of look at this as a blip and something that's mildly regrettable in some way. And so I don't really like, you know, we're poking a little fun at it. We're having some fun, and, you know, we're a little more charitable and a little nicer in some of our other episodes, talking like last week we talked about Walking the Edge with Robert Forster and Nancy Kwan, which is like a low budget sleazy LA revenge movie, which is a subgenre that I love.
Oh yeah.
And like that movie, you know, a flawed B movie, but a lot of fun. You had filmed in 82. You would never be able to tell those movies were filmed a year apart, because you cannot see what is happening in this movie.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
I don't know if that
has
to do with how it's shot, with the lack of preservation for whatever prints of the movie exist. Like, I'm sure when it was shot on film, you had to be able to at least see it, I would think.
Yeah, you had dailies, you had Video Village, you can go back and look at things, but like, yeah, it's just kind of a gray and like drab movie. Some of it's that the print has not been preserved at all. Like the version you're watching on Tubi is the best possible version of this, and it looks like it's been run through the wash a couple times. Like it's really hard to see. It's very tinny, muffled sound, so like it's hard to make out what everybody's saying.
A lot of the movie takes place in the forest at night.
Yeah.
And world-class cinematographers sometimes have trouble lighting that, let alone, a micro-budget, indie horror film where, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but maybe quality control wasn't the main priority.
No, I think this was all right, I guess we got to get this stuff done because I've already sold the ads or something. It's one of those kind of hand wavy projects. And I would be pretty pissed if I was Robert Ginty in particular, because I feel like I was a little shocked to look at other pictures of him, both like before and after this movie, and be like, oh, this is a handsome man. Because in this movie, he looks like he's wearing like a dollar store Paul McCartney Halloween mask. He looks so tired. He looks so like they're like lighting him under the jowls, which is like not doing him any favors.
Awful.
And he's like, I don't know if he's drunk or tired or like just completely disinterested, but he's slurring his lines. He's mumbling kind of everything. And there's just no real, this is a movie that just desperately needs like a shot of adrenaline. It is so sleepy. It is so boring.
And I mentioned, Steve, that this movie got a very, very limited theatrical release in 1986. 86. If you would have shown me this movie with no prior knowledge of like what we were doing for the show, what year this came out, anything like that, I would have said this is a movie that was shot in 1973.
Yeah,
I thought the exact same thing. It has that.
This
that
thing
block
is at a
that
drive-in.
screen.
Yeah, this is at a drive-in. The Devil's Reign is coming on next.
Yeah.
After this movie's over. And it kept reminding me of movies I saw in Mystery Science Theater that were shot in the 70s. Like, I'm like, man, this has the energy, or this looks like Track of the Moon Beast, or this looks like The Touch of Satan,
or Boggy Creek or something like that. Yeah, like it's like a sub Boggy Creek, but it is stunning to think that like this movie.
Listen, Charles B. Pierce would make a movie that you can see.
That's very true. That's very true. But it is baffling.
Whether you want to or not.
It's kind of boggling to think that this movie was playing in theaters at the same time as Aliens. You could go see Aliens or you could go see The Alchemist, and you're getting...
Only if you were watching movies alphabetically would you see both.
That's true. Yeah, there's some real freaks out there who were just like, yeah, I got to see all of them in alphabetical order.
Alchemist. That's so... Did we cover the plot? Or
can we? How much time you got?
Here's the that's the thing. There's a really long and detailed Wikipedia article, but basically this is just the Wolfman, like kind of all over again. It's a guy who in the 1870s gets a curse from an evil sorcerer played by Robert Glaudini, who we should mention, he is the only surviving cast member of this entire movie. Everybody else in this movie died pretty young, which is kind of shocking. And B, he is an acclaimed off-Broadway playwright. He wrote Jack Goes Boating, which was kind of like a minor hit, and that was what Philip Seymour Hoffman made as his feature directorial debut, which he also starred in. So like he's an accomplished like artist and a theater personality, and he's still with us. Great face. Oh my God, he's got gigantic features and these like big gnarled hands, and he looks awesome. And I wish the movie used him more because he's really fun. He basically just kind of bookends this movie, and
he looks like a demented Don Knotts.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's perfect. I think between him and Ginty both like having these really distinctive mugs, I just wish we got these two together in something with a little bit more of a pulse. But yeah, most of this movie is like so he accidentally kills his wife, and then he gets cursed and forced to live forever, but as a nocturnal beast, which we kind of don't really see because they didn't have a makeup budget for this. So we just see something running through the woods, and then occasionally like deer or sheep get eviscerated. And his daughter is still taking care of him. She's now an old woman. and she's trying to find a way to solve his curse so that he could either finally die or just like, move out and live the rest of his life. And there's a woman, a waitress, who's like just driving through the mountains, and she's being drawn to them because she might be the reincarnation of his wife. And there's an army vet who she picks up.
Of course.
Yeah.
This is the second aspect of the film that I enjoyed. When our heroine, who's driving cross country, she is a pretty young woman, and she picks up a handsome young hitchhiker, and the banter that goes on between them for the next 5 minutes might be worth seeing the movie just by itself, because she pulls it over, he gets in, she's pissy, like she's in a crabby mood.
Yeah.
He takes offense at her mood. And he says, "I'll just get out if I'm ruining your day." And she's like, and she's just glowering. He catches a glimpse at her legs, and she goes, "Oh, great!" As if I expect you're a perv.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Let me out." And she pulls over and lets him out. And then the car gets stuck. He helps her get it out of the side of the road. She takes off, then comes back.
Like it's not a meet cute. It's like a meet 10 years married bickering couple. Like
right. It's like they are aggravated.
Yeah, they are immediately like overly familiar with each other. It feels like we dropped in like dialogue from another movie, which is about a troubled marriage. It's not like
I'm
strangers
like
meeting.
Well, I think
I'm watching the movie and I'm like,
at the time.
Sorry.
Was this a common thing at the time? Because this happens also. There's like this inserted bickering married couple for no reason, and I believe Mansion to the Doomed.
Yes, yeah, there is.
Or no, Crash.
And Parasite also, wasn't there?
Well, yeah, it's not Mansion of the Doomed. I'm mistaken. It's Crash, because the whole point, I think it's there. It has to do with the possessed car.
That's right. Yeah,
I've not seen that one, but there was a lot of picking up hitchhikers in this era. But I don't know if I've ever seen two people immediately start arguing.
Just immediately, like nobody is forcing you to pick this man up. Nobody is forcing you to get in this car. Like, you guys do not need to be having this adventure together. And then, like, we're supposed to. I
appreciate the attempt at character development, though. I appreciate, because if the writer / director had nothing in mind, it would have been like, "Hey, where you headed? Spokane. All right, hop on in."
Yeah.
This is like an elaborate argument and breakup and then makeup.
If I'm gonna damn the movie with a little bit of faint praise, like I think there is a little bit of like Phantasm-esque, like razzle dazzle at the very end of this movie with like the portals and like the bisecting through the magical gate and like the melting. It's not the
when he
greatest,
gets broken in half, kind of.
Yeah, it's not the greatest face melting effect I've ever seen, but it's not bad. It's
the
and
special
for what
effects people earn their check, whatever it was they did.
And for what this movie had been giving us prior to that, it's like this is an oasis. There's kind of like nothing here, and that's the big problem. Like, literally, you could bookend it. You can watch the opening, like with the alchemy and all that, and the curse. You could watch a little bit of the bickering couple, and then literally fast forward to the last 10 minutes of the movie.
It's hard to even criticize that much, because all the stuff in daylight is perfectly B-movie watchable. When it's dark out, you just get bored. It's hard to keep your interest in something that you can't really decipher.
Yeah. And
I mean, Harvey Jenkins, who shot this movie under the pseudonym Andrew W. Friend, I mean, tread lightly here, because we are talking about the cinematographer of Hots and the Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Oh, of course, wow. The master, the maestro himself. Yeah, while we're referencing some old tomes that we always poured through, this made the Video Hound guide in whatever they last made it. It got one of the coveted woofs, one of the rare woofs in the Video Hound guide. So take that.
Yeah, did you have the? I don't think this movie has. I mean, like, in the horror field, you will almost always find somebody to defend a bad movie, and I have yet to see anyone in a book or online who is willing to get behind this one.
See, and Scott, that's like the express mission of your podcast, and it's not the express mission of ours necessarily, but I think we both really enjoy
Sure.
when we get to find and kind of champion one of these movies that's sort of been like buried to the dustbin of time.
Absolutely.
I
That's the
love
best.
that.
It's like finding buried treasure.
Exactly. Like I love finding, like I cite it all the time, but I love finding a movie like Prison or even like Walking the Edge or something like that. That's like
I did Prison. That was in one of my episodes.
exactly. Yeah, that's one you had to dig up, and it's
Good
one you
plug.
really
I
had to
just did
look for.
an episode of my show on a 1985 Fox release called Warning Sign. You
Oh, I
guys
don't
know
know that
anything
one.
about Warning
Oh
Sign?
yes, I know the poster.
Yeah, it's a great
I
poster,
can
but
picture the poster now.
all I'll
I'm
say
looking it
is
up.
to you and your listeners, give it a shot. It's got a really good cast, and it could easily be a prequel to 28 Days Later.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not. It's not, but you could pretend in your brain that it is.
Sam Waterston, Kathleen Quinlan, Jeffrey
Yep.
DeMunn, Yaphet Kotto. This Dean
Yep,
Cundy
yep.
shot it. Yeah, this looks cool. I was
Yeah.
not familiar with this movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as obscure as a wide release, or I don't know if it was a wide release, but it's about as obscure as a studio release can be.
Yeah. The director of Dragon Slayer. Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
Baldwin
there's
and
some-
Matthew Robbins made some good films, both together and separately. And Matthew Robbins is still working. He's written 3 films with Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. See, yeah, all right. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I wish we could give the warning sign treatment to The Alchemist. Like, I wish I could come out here and say, like, this does not deserve its reputation. But yeah, there is just nothing.
You
here.
guys have been to a draft house, right?
Yes.
Yep.
I've been to several in Austin many times.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they will have a pre-show where it just has like, a 4-minute sequence that is just absurd. And
Yeah.
I would, if I knew the programmers there anymore, which I don't, they're a whole new team, corporate team now. I don't know them. Back when they were privately owned and super indie, I was friendly with the programmers, and I would have said, take that whole picking up the hitchhiker guy and play that as a pre-movie clip, because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's legitimately funny. So, and that's pretty much that and the score. And then I got nothing.
Well, the problem, I think the biggest thing is like without preservation of this film and seeing this like incredibly washed out version that's probably just, from a VHS that's been battered and bruised, we're getting into like Tim Kincaid territory.
Yeah.
Like this is starting to look like Mutant Hunt, or it's starting to look like no, actually Robot Holocaust, for all of the flaws of that movie, you can see what's happening in that movie. And the same thing with Breeders. I think with Mutant Hunt, there's just like a level of degradation to the film itself where it's like really hard to see what's going on. But at least in Mutant Hunt, you have the occasional like outburst of like martial arts or something that is really funny to draw your attention to what's happening.
That always
And
reminds me
here-
of Pieces, where it's
Yeah.
just out there, you're at one of the very few slow spots in Pieces, and a guy just jumps over the bush and starts doing kung fu at everyone. I'm like, what?
Well,
And
Scott,
it's infamous for that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you brought up Pieces, because what I was thinking about during a lot of this movie is how, especially since we're all people with a lot of background in Mystery Science Theater, it reminded me a lot of Film Ventures International and like those movies that they would watch. So Film Ventures International was a company, a distribution. I mean, they made movies too, but I think of them as a distribution company who would pick up movies and kind of edit them maybe and put them out with like a new credit sequence. And the credit sequence was always like really blurry and hard to see what was going on. And I think Film Ventures International, like they either put out they either produced Pieces or distributed some version of Pieces that was out there. But like the guy who started that company, Edward Montaro, like he's the guy behind.
He's like a
Beyond the
patron
Door.
saint of Mystery Science Theater. They've mentioned him by name more than once. So I think that might be how I know that guy's name.
Well,
Yeah.
he's the guy behind Grizzly.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a huge hit. but he basically was an embezzler, and he embezzled over $1 million
That's
in
right.
accounts and then disappeared off the face of the earth. And for the last 40 years, no one knows of his whereabouts.
Oh wow.
I think I might have dug up his, because I used to watch when I was a heavy pot smoker. I would get baked and watch a Mystery Science Theater I haven't seen, and then I would Wikipedia little, like, if they made a reference to something that I didn't get, I'd want to get that joke. And I'm certainly not for every episode, but I did it 8, 10, 12 times, and it was fun. And I think that's what inspired me to dig into Montaro's Wikipedia page.
Yeah. And I think of the Film Ventures International, like if blurry things you can't see in the woods. Speaking also of Juan Piquer Simon, who directed Pieces, directed a movie called Slugs, made another movie called Extraterrestrial Visitors, which Mystery Science Theater took the Film Ventures International distributed version as Pod People.
Oh, that's Trumpy. That's Trumpy. Yeah.
Trumpy. He can do magic things.
He can do
Pod People, huh? Yeah, I've seen that episode, and I didn't put together with Juan Piquer because I love Pieces and Slugs. They're both great 80s sleazy, gory, fun horror flicks. And
the other ones the other ones that come to mind for me from Film Ventures International specifically are they took the 1982 Ben Murphy movie Time Walker and made it renamed it Being from Another Planet.
Oh wow. I remember it as Time Walker. I thought it was kind of like a Native American themed thriller. Is it a horror film?
It's the Being from Another Planet is a hilarious name to give it because it's a movie about a mummy, and the whole twist is that the mummy is actually an alien.
Oh, okay, yes.
That's kind of all over the place. What's there was a later MST3K that was like actually kind of a pretty decent movie that it had sort of been. Is it Soul Taker? Is that
Soul Taker? I like that's
Soul Taker was actually solid.
Made Soul Taker, and that's one where it's like Soul Taker.
Is that a Corman production? I think. I could be wrong. I just want to contribute.
It could very well be, but I know there's a guy, one of the extras in one of the movies we covered, I think maybe in Dead Hate the Living, was this guy from Soul Taker. And I was like, I recognize that guy. And it was driving me crazy. Where do I know this guy from? And he has some connection to, I believe it was Dave. No, it's not. It was not Dead Hate the Living. It was Deathbed.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were talking about not the bed that eats people.
Oh,
okay.
Another one, Stuart Gordon Presents Deathbed. Actually.
Yeah, there's I know Deathbed is famous because of the Patton Oswalt bit, but I wonder how many people realize there's 2 movies called Deathbed.
Yeah, I definitely think we touched on that when we talked about that movie.
Well, because there was a connection to Soul Taker with that guy, which was Joe Estevez.
Yeah, oh wow, okay.
Because Joe Estevez is in Soul Taker. He's also
Martin
in
Sheen's brother.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. He's Beach Babes from Beyond. Yeah, he's in a couple of movies that pop up for us. We always love seeing Joe Estevez.
Yeah, that's Emilio and Charlie Sheen's uncle. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Which, while we're on tangents, I don't know if y'all have watched the new Netflix Charlie Sheen documentary.
Not yet.
Worth watching.
I don't know if I'm gonna, but I am gonna watch the Eddie Murphy one.
Worth watching. I was watching this thing. I'm just like, you look at Charlie Sheen throughout the years and just like, why do people bother with this guy? He's like so much. He's so extreme. And then you watch him in this documentary, like, oh yeah, this dude is charming as hell. He's like very.
Oh really? Okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. I don't dislike him or like him. I'm just not all that interested in his. But if you say it's a good doco, I'll watch it. He's
been sober 8 years. He's very clear-headed and very lucid and very, he's got a lot of good perspective on some of the wild shit that went down. And you forget exactly how wild his fall from grace was. Yeah,
I'm more interested in actors talking about the movies they were in. I'm not so interested in him talking about the drugs they did and the people they screwed over. I'd much rather hear somebody like interview Charlie Sheen and go movie by movie for 90 minutes.
Yeah, that would be fun because he's got some wild ones in his
or any actor.
Yeah.
I mean, I would kill to have somebody go through his entire career, movie by movie, and talk for 5 minutes with Steve Martin. I mean, I would love that.
I used to love any kind of like random roles or something like that, like the AV Club used to run, like anything like that. It was just like candy for me. And you could tell the actors enjoy having those interviews too, because it's sometimes like, oh shit, I forgot I made that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would just love to hear Steve Martin talk about Leap of Faith or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles or
Leap
My
of
Blue
Faith
Heaven.
ruled.
Just
Yeah.
But I want him to be honest. I want to hear actors who talk about a movie they made 35 years ago and go, yeah, that one didn't work out. I want to hear that kind of brutal honesty.
Definitely.
Well, that kind of brutal honesty is served up piping hot in Dave J's book, Empire of the Bees, because there is a little interview with Robert Ginty talking about The Alchemist.
Oh, lay it on us. I haven't read this.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to like quote necessarily directly from it, but he basically just writes the movie off, and it's just like he's more interested in talking about the production aspect of like how Charles Band got involved as a director for hire, which was, I think, through Irwin Yablans.
Oh, okay.
Because of the Larry Applebaum connection there got Irwin Yablans involved somehow. He also
produced Fade to Black, because many years ago I was on Twitter and I followed Irwin Yablans and I DM'd him and I said, hey, I'm an aspiring screenwriter and I'd just love to know what are the availability on the remake rights of Fade to Black. And he said, I don't know. I just don't know. And I was like, okay. And I always assume that because this is back when Fade to Black was much more obscure.
Yeah.
I think Scream Factory and other people have reclaimed it, so it's not quite as obscure now. But back then, 10 or 12 years ago, it still was. And I had this pipe dream that me and a friend could have written a remake of Fade to Black.
Well, to kind of piggyback off of your sentiment there, I think that's a great idea, because I think Fade to Black is a movie that is super cool in concept, and I don't love the execution of that movie.
That's the kind of movie you remake.
That's prime remake space. Yeah.
I mean, but then the other problem is studios want to remake stuff that has a name. They want to remake The Fog, not because they love it, but because The Fog is a well-known title. Yeah. So if we were trying to pitch a New Line on a Fade to Black remake, they'd go, Fade to what?
Right. Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of things that are essentially remakes, Larry Applebaum and the DP of this movie, Harvey Jenkins, worked together again on another movie a few years later. You know what that movie was?
Rob.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Oh wow.
Garbage Day.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
We'll combine the two things we've been discussing, The Alchemist and Mystery Science Theater. Do you think that the guys took a look at this movie at one point and just realized it was too boring to do an episode
I don't think you can riff this movie, because I think, first of all, it's incomprehensible. Like, stuff is happening. I'm not even entirely sure why things are happening. Like, I don't really understand. Lenora, is she a reincarnation? Is she a relative? Is she a ghost? Is she an apparition? I don't understand like any of those things. I don't know why Delgado decides to do this form of alchemy. And I will say I looked into this a little bit too, in terms, I mean, obviously alchemy being predating chemistry, converting metals into gold or finding elixirs and things like that.
Right.
But there is
old school chemist or pharmacist, right?
Yeah.
Right. But there is kind of a brand of hermeticism in philosophy known as spiritual alchemy, which is kind of like a metamorphosis that goes on, that happens within a person, the changing of themselves.
So basically what happens to everybody who watches this movie? We go through we change, we grow, we discover our spirituality.
I have experienced spiritual alchemy in watching this movie, but I just think
this movie did perform magic on me. It turned me from a sentient, awake, aware person into a sleepy, body in the corner. I fell asleep. I had to rewatch the second half last night. And then I did. I watched the last 40 minutes last night, and I'm like, I have no more information than I did after falling asleep to it.
And that's the problem too. Like you said, you can't really riff this well in MST3K because it's all dialogue. You're only hearing about every other third word of it. And also, and this is going to be a weird, it's a weird point to make, but hopefully you guys will see where I'm coming with this. This is not an inept movie. It's an indifferent movie. It's not that it's not like so bad it's good. It's not like it's not bad in an interesting way. I think it's just indifferent. Like there's talent on screen and behind the camera. There's given the right circumstances, maybe you could never like spin this into a good movie, but you could spin this into a better movie. But there's indifference there. Nobody's incompetent. They're just not locked in.
I don't know if I agree with your police work there, Bob.
Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
I mean, I'm not saying that throughout
the lighting
the course
and
of their career.
The lighting is inept for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying that anybody who worked on this movie was always inept. I just think that a lot of the people making this movie for that 2 weeks, they were inept at that moment. Except Richard.
Yeah, I don't think that this necessarily, and again, it might be, I agree. I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to say I don't see it as like ineptitude on Charles Band's part. I see it as indifference on Charles Band's part. And I feel that you don't get a sense of, the kind of director flourishes that he would do in the movies that would follow this. Like when we had Phil Nobile on to talk about Parasite, he talked about how interesting it was how interestingly directed that movie was to make a lot of the 3D work. Metal Storm might be, a sort of an incomprehensible movie in its own right. And, maybe flawed in a number of different ways. It's not boring and it moves. Yep. And then if you're going sort of sequentially, you have Charles Band's segment of, does he have a segment in The Dungeon Master?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, I don't remember if he does now. I feel like he might
do you think that his directorial efforts are that much better than stuff he kind of just produced? I think he's a good B producer. I don't know if I love him so much as a director.
I feel like we come around to a lot of Charles Band's movies saying the ones that he directs, like it's like this is kind of a hallmark. It's like a lot of dialogue, a lot of exposition, a lot of characters just talking to each other. I think there are ones that are just kind of like there's a hidden gem here and there, because like you have Metal Storm and you have this and you have Parasite, but then like very shortly thereafter that you have Trancers, which is
aka Future Cop.
Yeah, the high points of his directing.
I don't know why I'm feeling everybody I know knows that it's Trancers. Why do I have to throw that in there?
It's just good to know. I love it. I mean, it's a hallmark. I mean,
it's a more descriptive title.
But like,
I'm trying to look. He directed. You guys tell me, thumbs up or thumbs down? Already?
Sure.
Crash and Burn, 1990.
I'm down on
middle
that
of the road. Robot Jocks is better. The Stuart Gordon of it all.
Robot Jocks is the class of that.
And Robot Wars was better too, which is like, that's the Albert Band one.
Do they all recycle like the same material?
They're all definitely like in conversation. I think they're using some of the same sets and maybe some of the unused models.
Even growing up, when I like to keep my B movies straight, I was like, wait, Robot Jocks, Robot Wars, Crash and Burn, are these the same film with different title, or
Crash and Burn? Yeah, Transfers 2 was a big step down from Transfers 1. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, and then Transfers 3 kind of levels it back out. But
Dr. Mordred, good or bad?
I like Dr. Mordred. Yeah.
Ditto. It feels like, and I'm not the first to say this, but it feels like they wanted to do Doctor Strange but couldn't get the rights.
That's exactly what happened. It is literally they had the rights for a hot minute and then they lost it.
Then maybe I read it somewhere. I don't want to. I don't want to bullshit. How about Head of the Family? You like that one?
The best.
One of the best. Yeah,
amazing.
Funny, oddly funny. Doll Man versus Demonic Toys.
No.
Kind of bottom of the barrel for me.
Show
and the sad thing is, and this was before he churned them out like he does in current years. This was 93, and man, that could have been a lot of fun. And it's just not very good.
But then there's ones that kind of, break through that are surprise, like Blood Dolls. We go back to Blood Dolls.
Yeah.
99, yeah.
That movie's a ton of fun. I think Charles Band is an ideas guy. He's I hate to say this because it's going to sound disparaging, a gimmick guy, an exploitation guy.
Not
Yeah,
a,
in the
you got to have a
exploitating
hook to
trends.
sell a B movie. I don't think that's an insult at all.
No,
Gimmick
it's
is,
in the
you know,
William Castle tradition.
William Castle, Roger Corman, like all the best and most prolific B movie producers had gimmicks on the mind. Absolutely.
Yeah. But when he was outsourcing these movies to someone like Peter Manoogian or someone like that, or David Schmoller,
Yeah.
or I mean,
Ted
I don't want
Nicolau, which we already
Ted
mentioned.
Nicolau.
Yeah, Ted's
right,
great.
and I don't want to necessarily say Stuart Gordon,
Realizing I know more about Empire than I thought I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're exercising a sense memory.
Yeah.
Reanimator obviously was a pickup and for distribution, but then I mean he did produce From Beyond, he did produce Castle Freak.
Right, because he made money with that team, so he said, got his fingers into them and said, let's make some movies together. We made some money when I bought this movie, and to their credit, they made From Beyond and Dolls, which are both really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, we love all of the Stuart Gordon movies, and Band is not. No, he's not necessarily a director first, but he does have a style, and he does
like the guy who would step in to direct if there was a problem with the director.
Right. Then that's happened a few times in some of these movies, and you can kind of tell which ones he shepherded and which ones he's just sort of doing cleanup work on. But he favors heavy dialogue. He likes having a lot of exposition. Like, the weird thing about Crash and Burn, which is a robot future dystopia movie, is that 90% of it is a locked room mystery. It's kind of like Agatha Christie in the post-apocalypse in a weird way, and yet that somehow doesn't work for me. But yeah, he's got a distinctive style. I don't think he's employing it here. I think he is, he's checking a box. And, honestly, we're kind of doing the same thing a little bit with this one as well, just because I don't feel particularly engaged with it. But either way,
you had me cover this one because I can just babble.
We were grateful for it because it's like,
that's what we said, get Weinberg on the horn.
You're like, what are we going to talk about with this one? What are we going to latch on to?
Yeah, well, because anything that it gives you to latch on to, like there's some stuff where it's like color filter things happening at the end, and then these monsters, they kind of have like this vague baby demon like face to them. So like there's a moment where lights flashing and the aesthetic of it sort of looks like the cover of the Black Sabbath album Born Again.
Yeah.
Which is like, Black Sabbath's worst album, but cool cover. But anytime this movie's doing anything that, it's not enough. No, I'm just saying it's not enough.
I would love if we could do a sidebar here to wrap this up, because I've never discussed this with you guys, but I would love to know your take on, I'm sure you covered it enthusiastically, the Primevals.
I loved the Primevals.
Oh, loved it.
Yeah, incredible. I had such an amazing time.
Yeah, I definitely liked it.
Such an amazing story behind it. And I'll
have to dig back and find your episode on that one.
When we went to the Church of Chills event, the full moon kind of fan convention thing in Cleveland, and there was an auction of some like memorabilia, and the only one that I was like really, really tempted on were some original plasticine models of some of like the aliens in the final like arena sequence that were like designed by Dave Allen, and like I was like, oh man, there's like a little 4 of them on this little plinth. I'm just like, oh, I mean, I really want those ones. But I was just fascinated by the story because it was like it started production in the 80s and they didn't have funding, and then 60s started in the 60s. Yeah, that is
shows you what I know. Wow,
I believe that movie now holds the record for the longest production cycle of all time. I think it beat like The Prince and the Thief and the Cobbler or whatever it was. Yeah.
Right, and I came to it because Dennis Muren was involved, and I was like, when you hear something about like an unfinished movie that Dennis Muren was co-directing, and now it's actually finished, I went, what? And
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed it. It's
it
fun.
was a real like tribute to Dave Allen, the director and the special effects artist behind it, because like Phil Tippett came through and did some work on it. God, I'm blanking on the rest of the names, but a lot of like luminaries in the special effects world came through and like animated a few frames, like just as a tribute. They all kind of pitched in, which was cool. But we are going far afield, and unfortunately, I do have to record another podcast very shortly here. Unfortunately, we are going to need to send the Alchemist screaming into the portal from beyond. And we need to thank Scott Weinberg for being back on the show. One of our favorite freakies. Always a delight to have you and to go on some incredibly obscure references and rants with you.
Oh, rabbit holes galore. When you talk about band and 80s B horror in general, you know, I guarantee the three of us could ramble and chat for the next 3 hours if we wanted to. So I'm glad that I could help you fill an episode and check the box, because, you know, if you want to cover them all, even the ones that are not so hot. So I'm glad I could help.
Well, we're always glad to have you on it. And now Overhated is out there. People can get that wherever they get their podcasts. Is there anything else you're working on that you want to plug?
No, not right now. I'm thinking about Overhated mostly exists on my Patreon, which is obviously patreon.com/Scott E. Weinberg. And the vast majority of episodes are on there, and I put out some public episodes just to kind of send people to the Patreon, frankly. And next year, I'm thinking about starting a monthly podcast digging into month by month the horror films of the 90s, because I think,
love it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the 70s were great for horror movies, and the 80s were pretty damn good for horror movies. And then people, aside from Scream and a few others, the 90s kind of get the backhand compliments and dismissed as, you know, horror was at its a nadir, low point, whatever. And I don't necessarily agree, but I'm gonna figure out a way with my buddy Ben Rock to cover the 90s horror starting in January.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's kind of my era that I kind of came up with, and it was sort of like when horror was disreputable in an uncool way, and I was so like there's a lot of stuff that's like actually quite good that people just didn't engage with. So that's worth that's an awesome
very
topic.
Good point. Yeah. So we
that's a really novel concept.
A full year in per episode, or a month per episode. I don't know what we're going to commit to, but I want to reassess 90s horror, American horror, I should say.
I love it.
All right,
amazing. Great. Yeah, no, that's incredible. And if you check out Overhated, you can find a few, like I said, go to Scott's Patreon so you can hear all of them. But if you are just on the public feed, there are a few episodes featuring Steve and myself that you can hear. But if you scroll and pick on any movie that you notice the title of and you go, yeah, that movie is Overhated, you're going to find something that you love. If you love the show that we do week to week, the best way to show us is to drop a 5-star rating, maybe a brief review if you feel so inclined to do so on whatever podcast app that you're listening to. It just helps us to reach a wider audience. You can follow us on the daily on Instagram at _Castle Freaks. You can also follow me at _Jallo_Jared. I also will post on Blue Sky, and we'll have some stuff on the Facebook group and audio versions of the show on YouTube as well for now, because, promoting a show is a lot, and we're not the only show that Steve wants to promote. So Steve, what else have you got going on?
Well, thank you. I'm also the host of the show called Cinema Arcade, which is cinema and arcade mashed together. That is where we are talking about movies and their video game adaptations. We're seeing if they compare, contrast, detract, enhance one another.
That sounds fun. And is that new?
No, we've been doing that for actually, I think we started like about the same time as this show. So like we're kind of going in lockstep this entire time.
I did not know that one. That sounds fun. So it's about the video game spin-off of movies.
Exactly. Yeah, we do both. We'll watch the movie and then we'll play the game, and we'll just kind of see. We come up with
an important job, because people will tell you that, almost every game based on a movie is terrible, but then you'll get like Butcher's Bay, which is damn good.
Which is still one of my top games. We find a lot of really good ones, and we find, even when we don't find good ones,
give me some really bad ones though. What are some really bad ones?
I think the worst one we've covered still to this date is the adaptation of the forgotten 2011 young adult adaptation Beastly, which is
Oh my God, they made
an
a
utterly
game out of
bottom
that?
of the barrel game. They made a really shitty Wii game out of it. That might still be my very bottom of the barrel, but also up there, not as bad in execution, but really bad conceptually, is Vertigo. And that's maybe the biggest gap between quality of movie and quality of game,
Wow, they made a video game out of Vertigo. How did I not know that?
because it's terrible and they buried it. It's like this really boring, like walking simulator, but it's set in modern day and it sucks. It sucks.
Oh, you know what's another one that is a lot better than I expected, and I think you'll agree. The Thing.
The Thing is great. I really enjoyed the Thing game. Yeah, I played it all the way through to the end. I actually really enjoyed it.
I watched a playthrough many years ago because I remembered playing it and not being very good at it, but liking it. And then, maybe 3-4 years ago, I thought, let me do a little play. Let me watch this on YouTube. So I did, and it's pretty fun.
It's not bad. It's worth checking out. So you can find that wherever you get your podcasts. And you can find us next week when we are talking about, I believe, another mid-'80s Empire film, if I'm not mistaken, a movie called Ghost Warrior, a.k.a. Sword Kill. One word, Sword Kill. Don't know this one. Sounds fun. Sounds great.
It's like a fish out of water samurai in modern LA, I believe.
Great. I'm on board. Sign me up.
That's what you can't do with The Alchemist is just give a plot synopsis in one concise sentence.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. Yeah, you just can't do it in one sentence and make it sound appealing. But Ghost Warrior, aka Sword Kill, you absolutely can do that. So we are going to watch that next week. So thank you everybody for listening. Thank you again to Scott for guesting, and we will see you all next time.
I just want to say again, Happy New Year to all of you. And from Steve and myself, we wish all of you a happy and healthy 2026. We've got a lot of incredible stuff in store. So if you've been with us from the beginning, or you just kind of joined on and found the show and been enjoying it, really great year with some fantastic stuff coming up. And we're really grateful that you're here, and we wish you a happy 2026.